Vanakkam, Namaste, and good evening to everyone present here. First, wishing you all a very, very happy Independence Day. It gives me immense pleasure in inviting all of you to the Read On Children's Literature Festival, Season 2, brought to you by Alchemy Arts and Education Foundation. On an auspicious note, we would like to start today's event with the lighting of the lamp. I would like to call upon parents of Alchemy Kids Theatre, Mrs. M. Lakshmi, Vanita, Prabha M., Ramya Nirmal, Janani Rajam, to light the lamp, please. Can we have the AV, please?
Wishing Alchemy Read On Children's Literature Festival Season 2 all the very best.
Wishing Alchemy Read On Children's Literature Festival Season 2 all the very best.
Wishing Alchemy Read On Children's Festival Season 2 all the very best.
Wishing Alchemy Read On Children's Literature Festival Season 2 all the very best.
Wishing Alchemy Read On Children's Literature Festival Season 2 all the very best.
Thank you so much, dear parents. I would next like to call upon Swati ma'am, our teacher at Alchemy, to render the invocation song. Can we have the AV, please?
हंसवाहिनी ज्ञानदायिनी हंसवाहिनी ज्ञानदायिनी ज्ञान का भंडार दे शारदे वरदान दे हंसवाहिनी ज्ञानदायिनी ज्योतिदात्री यो विदात्री ज्योतिदात्री यो विदात्री ज्योति का भंडार दे शारदे वरदान दे हंसवाहिनी ज्ञानदायिनी विश्व के अंधेर कर में घिर न जाए इस सफर में विश्व के अंधेर घर में घिर न जाए इस सफर में दीपों का भंडार दे शारदे वरदान दे हंसवाहिनी सके निज सत्य पथ पर गा सके निज गीत हित पर हल सके निज सत्य पथ पर गा सके निज गीत हित पर दीपों का हार दे शारदे वरदान दे हंस वाहिनी ज्ञानदायिनी ज्ञान का भंडार दे शारदे वरदान दे हंस वाहिनी ज्ञानदायिनी ज्ञानदायिनी ज्ञानदायिनी.
Thank you so much, Swati ma'am. That was wonderful. Before we move on, we have a short overview video of Read On's first edition coming up for you. Can we have the AV, please? Wow. Last year has been filled with power-packed performances and artists coming in from around the globe. We are surely looking forward for more such this year. Moving on, I request our founder and CEO of Alchemy, Vijay Vishwanathan sir, to welcome the gathering.
Good evening. Good evening to all present here. It gives me great pleasure to welcome one and all the parents, children, Team Alchemy, and most importantly, our lovely chief guest of this evening, Ms. Jeeva Raghunath. The Read on Children's Literature Festival came up with a great focus to spread the knowledge, the rich heritage, the rich culture that literature has in store. We have been moving into a digital world with more and more digital technology taking over. But we are so happy that even though we have been moving into the digital technology, many of your literature works are being converted to the digital medium. But what is more reading line by line I guess there was a small technical glitch and I hope we are back now. Sorry about that. See, this is where when we go online, there are certain
I guess there is a technical glitch here. Really sorry. Vijay sir will be back in a minute. Yeah.
Okay, am I back with you guys? Okay.
Yeah. Really sorry for the technical glitches that are happening today. Yes, ma'am. So before that, I would just like to ask you a few questions, ma'am. Yes, you. Because I've always been fascinated by your storytelling, and I've always been fascinated by yourself. I also came for the Alamuram, that festival, and I loved your storytelling session, ma'am. So, as a theater artist myself, I always look up to people and learn from them. So, how do you feel before going on stage, ma'am? What is that one feeling that you get before going on stage?
Accountability.
Okay.
Because I got to be accountable for their time and the money that people have spent.
Yes.
That's about all. Nothing else. I don't have stage fear, fortunately.
That's wonderful. And I guess
that's the only thing that
yeah.
the only thing that worries me. Nothing else.
That's wonderful, man. I guess I have a learning to take back today. And I guess Vijay sir's back, so over to him.
All right.
Right. Thank you so much. I was just mentioning that there are various things that are beyond our control when we go online. Like the internet connection, the fiber cable. There are stories to tell for that too. And it's wonderful. So coming back, I was talking about the feeling that you get when you hold those books in your hand and read them, and the feel and the knowledge that comes from them, and the visuals that build in our mind as we read these books. Because I'm sure when I read Hardy Boys, Chet Morton, Frank Hardy, Joe Hardy. And when my friends read it, we definitely would have had different visuals of these people. But if I watch a movie and then go back to reading, my God, I'm cursed because I will only get that visual in my mind. So a read on is a process by which we want to let children explore that wonderful world of literature, but through a lot of fun. We don't want to make it serious. We don't want to make it very academic at its approach. So this is a festival, not a competition, where we have hundreds of children who come week on week to come and perform various pieces of literature. And I'm so thankful to all the guests who accept to come on this show, the Read On Festival, and encourage these young minds to move forward. And in that tone, we have Ms. Jiva Raghunath with us. But I'm going to let Bhavana do a formal introduction of Ms. Jiva Raghunath, though when I requested ma'am to send her profile, I, by mistake, mentioned brief profile. And it was beautiful, ma'am said, which here I'm sending you a profile, a 30-word profile. And she could, compress it. But then I went ahead to Bhavana and told her, no, there's a lot that our children need to know about this wonderful, accomplished storyteller. Incidentally, Jiva ma'am, I also happened to share our invite with Geeta Ramanujam ma'am. She was a chief guest last year. So she was so fantastic. Yesterday, she sent me a reply. Oh, Vijay, thank you so much for sharing the invite. And I'm so happy you have Jiva on the show. She's one of the best storytellers. I have that WhatsApp message with me from her, and I'm so happy. So look at this beautiful world where each of us, try and synergize with each other's energy. So dear parents, dear children, our lovely audience, Jiva ma'am, and to all those who are watching us live now, a very warm welcome to the season 2 of Read On's Children's Literature Festival. Thank you. Over to the MC, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for such a warm welcome. 19 years, Pa. Ada, 19 years. What are you all looking at? Alchemy has touched its 19th year this year. It's been a wonderful journey for us. We have a short video coming up. Can we have the video, please? Requesting the host to play the AV, please. Wow, that was just mind-blowing, wasn't it? I now call upon Bhavna Badrinarayanan, a student of Alchemy Youth Theatre, to kindly introduce our chief guest for today, Jiva Raghunath ma'am. Over to you, Bhavna.
Good evening to all. I'm Bhavna Badri, and I take great pleasure and pride in introducing our chief guest for today, Ms. Jiva Raghunath, an extremely popular performance storyteller. Jiva Raghunath first started telling toddler stories as a teacher for 12 years. She moved on to teach French to high schoolers using her creative teaching techniques. When she met her schoolmate Radhika Menon, an MD with Tulika Publishers, in connection with her alma mater, she turned to marketing children's books. This led her to translate Priya's Day by Kathy Spagnoli. 15 years ago, she was christened a professional storyteller at the launch of the same book. Her passion for storytelling has grown tenfold, and today she can proudly take credit for having pioneered the storytelling movement in Tamil Nadu, representing her country at 17 international storytelling festivals around the globe, training over 25,000 children and adults all over the world, and over 500 performances, both solo and at international showcases. She is also the winner of the Best Entrepreneur Award in the field of storytelling and the winner of Best Children's Program, Punnagai, in Singapore, for playing the key role Aulandi. She has authored 8 children's books, both nationally and internationally, as well as translated 45 books into Tamil from English. She has been the creative head for a 3D animation series, Bommi and Friends, for Image Venture, which is an animation company in India. Jiva Raghunath's storytelling style leaves her audience spellbound, and she believes that she herself is the best prop for her storytelling. Her repertoire of stories includes a wide range of Indian and Asian folk tales, European tales, family stories, true life incidents, cross culture, and modern stories. She has conducted many workshops that are highly interactive and based on time tested storytelling ideas. They have also proven effective for varied groups and ages. Topics covered in these workshops include storytelling techniques, story development, communication skills through stories, exploring India, and developing language skills through stories. The settings for these programs include schools, colleges, cultural associations, social clubs, hospitals, libraries and museums, festivals, community centers, private parties, and there's been no limit so far. On behalf of all of us in the Alchemy family, ma'am, I extend a warm welcome to you. We are honored to have you with us today at the inauguration ceremony of Read On Children's Literature Festival Season 2. And thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. I now invite you to declare the festival open. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. You got some numbers wrong. It's 23 years this year. I've completed 23 years. I've represented India in 27 countries. I've written over 15 books. I've translated over 65 books. So that's because you took from something very old, something that was not updated. Never mind. Now I shall open the festival. This festival shall be the torchbearer for helping many young minds explore, experiment, and understand the annals of literature and its impact on our society. The participants shall take part in this festival with the utmost love and respect for literature and fellow beings. I now declare the Read On Children's Literature Festival 2021 officially open. Ta-da! Ta-da! Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Bhavna. And I welcome everyone to Read On Children's Literature Festival Season 2. To know the journey of a successful person, it is very interesting and a story by itself. Can't wait to hear the journey of an interactive storyteller. I call upon Mr. Vijay Vishwanathan sir and Jiva Raghunath ma'am for an interactive session. The floor is all yours.
Thank you.
Okay, let me just do the double spotlighting now so that both of us are there on spotlight.
Okay.
I will add on to the add spotlight. Yes. So here,
we are.
Oh, yeah. So nice. So first of all, a very happy Independence Day to all of them who are watching, and a very happy Independence Day to you also, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Same to you. Yep.
And thank you so much, for that such a lovely and vibrant festival opening declaration. Couldn't have expected for better. I guess the AV we played was less impactful than your opening.
No, I need that energy to go on for the rest of the show. So
right.
It was my warm up, I would say.
Lovely, lovely.
Thank you.
I can understand the impact with which you would be delivering your stories, because as I told you sometime when we were warming up at 6:20, discussing with each other, I very, very clearly remember 2 occasions of having, watching you perform stories. One was at that school in Tiruchi, where I saw you working with children, and then at your festival under the Alamaram, where you were the last performer of that evening. We had close to around 6 to 7 performers from various countries performing. there was instruments, they had so many different techniques, but you came in and you just stormed the show. I was zapped, and this was just not my impression of your delivery, but I had brought in a bunch of school children that day. And the children in the report actually read that out, and rather wrote that out as a feedback to us. We were collecting feedback of how they benefited, and you were the highlight there. So
thanks.
Let us get into a small conversation now where we discuss the story of a storyteller. And officially coining this conversation as the journey of a storyteller named Jiva Raghunath.
Okay.
Okay. I happened to go through your website. I thought I'll do a little bit of preparation before I come in.
I'm sorry, it's very outdated. It's very outdated.
I know. I'm a bit nervous now because Bhavna got a few things wrong. I hope I have the rest of it correct, because we picked it up from your official website.
It's my fault, not yours.
But there are certain things here which I think will remain always right, because there is this thing that's come up that you are now an accomplished storyteller and an author. And I would rather go ahead and say that an authority in storytelling by your experience, though you would not claim it, but we, having watched you over the years, we feel that we have a lot to learn from you. But I'm going to travel back to your days when you were a child, because there are a lot of children here. They'll be very interested in knowing that. I read in your website that you were called Vayadi, meaning talkative, gun throat. I can imagine that even now, Joker, Fatso, Jeeves, you had various names, and it also said you went around telling stories to everybody possible. So can you share a bit of your childhood and how did people, tolerate you as a storyteller?
Good question. No, the thing is, I grew up with storytellers. My grandmother, my mother, my grandfather, my uncles, my aunts, my siblings, all told stories. Especially, my grandmother had many kids, and so there were many grandchildren. So she would all make us sit in a large circle, and she would take the gunda, the cauldron, and she would add the rice and the sambar and the curry, all of it, mix it together, and she'll make these urunda, little rice balls. And you so like we're supposed to hold our palm, and she'll leave it in the palm and start eating, and start telling the stories. So as she told, we would be like only eating. And and suddenly from behind the cook has to sign saying, Amma, soru theendiriche, saapadu illa, kadaiya mudinga. So then, she was very fascinated with all these Raja Rani stories. That's why when I read Harry Potter, I said, my parties told me similar stories. It was not new to me. She had all those magic elements, and she just made up, half the time she made up stories. And she would always finish her story by saying that, by saying, and the Raja or Rani, in a kalyanathu kooptanga. So she would feel her sari and say that was the sari, and we believed it because the story was so effective. We were transported to that kingdom. We were transported all around. So I think along with food, I think I also ate stories. So like all the other systems in me, I think story system is also there. And I'm an auditory learner. I'm very lazy. All my siblings are voracious readers, but I'm not. I'm a listener. So if I listen to somebody, I'm very good at, getting stuff and, making it mine. So I had that ability, and probably my genes, because I come from an art family. So the genes helped me with singing and dancing and drama. I think it's all they're a part of my genes. And so it happened. And basically I was a very bold child. I was never shy. I mean, I'm named after my grand aunt, and she's supposed to be like, or rather I'm supposed to be like her. Very brave and very outspoken kind of a person. And so I was extremely naughty in school, but at the same time, very responsible. So I would never get caught because they'd say that, she's very naughty, but still she's very responsible. You can make her do stuff. So what they did with me was they made me the class leader, right from grade 1 to until school final. Only way to control her is to make her the monitor. So that's how I was a monitor. But that taught me a lot of things of how to be responsible as well, and accountable as well, and lots of things. The school taught me a lot of things. So both my school and home kind of groomed me into, into extracurricular activities, and a lot of it. I studied in Vidyodaya, That was good school, which gave us so much of exposure to fine arts and stuff like that. So I think it is all there, a part of it. And I never realized that one day it's going to be my profession. And never. But I also feel that, when you're passionate about something, it'll come to you no matter what.
Very true.
It'll come to you. Yeah. And that's how it came to me, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I do party with you in your thought process where schools are great grooming points for all these things, and if the school can give the right kind of platform, then it can be really lovely for performing artists to really explore and experiment themselves right from a young age.
Yeah.
Dear audience, this is an interaction with one of the finest storytellers of Chennai, Jiva Raghunath. And in case you have any questions, you can drop it on the YouTube chat box and we will take it up from there with Jiva ma'am. So I'm requesting our host Tejaswini Vijay that in case if there are any questions to do prompt it to me. So as I go through, I have just around 5 questions, quick questions to go through the journey of this wonderful storyteller. Now, moving on to my second question. School days are fun. We love telling stories at home. There are people who listen to us, and we do have platforms in schools. We did have a lot of occasions in schools where, India being India, we have a lot of festivals to celebrate. So every festival becomes an occasion for us to go on stage. I can't forget, any of those stages that I went on, as a dancer, as a singer, as a storyteller, which has groomed. Now, being recognized as a professional storyteller is great today, but years back, you're talking of years back, 23 years back? Yes, 23 years back, being a storyteller, that too from Chennai, being a professional storyteller, I am sure that wouldn't have been accepted so quickly. Yeah? And I don't know how it was with your experience, which is something that we would like to know. What you had to go through to establish yourself as a professional storyteller. Which was your first stage as a professional storyteller and your experience of that to us?
Frankly speaking, no problem.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know why, but because I think I don't think about success. I think that makes all, because I'm just enjoying. It's like eating a nice sweet from one alwa stall and giving it to you, Vijay, and saying, eat it. And I watch you. And when you're eating, you say, you like it, right? You like it, right? So I'm just sharing that with you. So it was for me, storytelling is like that. I don't do it for others. I do it for myself. I'm happy. So what happened was I translated Kathy Spagnoli's book, because I went to work with Radhika, and it was Priya's Day, and it was a paper tearing activity story. I'm not very, very good with all these things. I can speak all right, but I can't do 2 things at the same time. So I said, I got to tear paper, because that's the story is about paper tearing. Priya's Day is about paper tearing. So without that, story doesn't make sense. What do I do? I said, best thing is let's add songs to it. But I can't compose. So happy at 3D tunes. It's okay. I mean, like you didn't know that. Those days we didn't know that, there's copyright, blah, blah, blah. I knew. So I just told all those little songs, made my own lines. And so when I was tearing, I was singing. So people will be listening to my song. They won't watch what I'm doing. So I finished that for the book launch. I did it. I did it in Tamil because Kathy was not there. Sandhya did in English. There was a group of children from the underprivileged, group. And so I did it in Tamil. And soon after that was over, people came and said, you're a wonderful storyteller. I said, storyteller? Because I didn't know there was something called storytelling and storyteller. I still remember Radhika coming and saying, just smile and say thank you. I said, okay. I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the next day, there was a half a page write-up about Priya's Day and my storytelling in the newspaper. I said, 20 years of a teacher, not one line of appreciation. I just tell one kada and today I'm there on paper. It's just that. And so that was the first experience where I didn't know I was a storyteller 23 years ago, again in August.
Right, okay. August seems to be a great month for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So that was my first thing. So I didn't even know that was, like I told you, I didn't know it was something called storytelling. And that could be my rest of my life. I just didn't plan for it. Like I told you, I'm never conscious of anything. Right? To me, I don't know. something that my parents taught me is like that you be good for yourself. You be number one to yourself. You don't have to be number one father. Be number one to yourself. If you can sleep well, it means you've done your job well. If you don't sleep well, it means you've not done something right. So it's always been like that. I've never felt anything as an individual victory or success. Nothing like that. So what? There are brilliant people around doing brilliant things. So you're not the only one to say, hey, man, I'm the best. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
Right.
They're far more better things. It's just that some people come out in the front and some people are not. It's just time, I should say. And then, yeah, that was my first experience. Yeah.
Fantastic. There's the second thing that, or rather two things that we learned from this particular question. One is your candid approach and your honesty, the way you've been answering, it's just been fantastic because that shows how simple a person you are. And for an artist to be creative, you have to really be genuine and simple. And the second factor that I find from your answer is how supportive a family should be for art to blossom. So those are two wonderful takeaways from this question that I infer, and I hope our audiences are, listening to us and inferring from this. This takes us to the next leap in your life. So from having told your first story, I also happened to watch your or go through your calendar of events in your website, though it's old, or outdated. I wouldn't say old, outdated. I'm taking that word outdated from a leap of your conversation now. But you seem to be busy with a lot of festivals around the world. You've been part of many storytelling festivals. So which was your first festival where you told a story? And what are the experiences that a storyteller gains by being part of such festivals? And can children be part of such festivals? So there are three questions here. One is your first festival, then your experiences from such festivals, and can children take part in such festivals? Over to you, ma'am.
Good. All right. I knew this question was coming. That's why I didn't continue. I stopped. I was hoping to be the next one. So what happened was, like I said, I was working for Tulika, and Kathy Spagnoli's book was released, and Kathy also trained many people in Singapore. So her book was sold by Kiran Shah in Singapore, who was Tulika's agent to sell books. So when the Singapore government, the National Library Board of Singapore, decided to run a children's festival, they started in 1999, but 2000 full-fledged, they wanted to start. She writes to Radhika Menon asking for a Tamil storyteller, or a storyteller who can tell stories in Tamil. Immediately, Radhika said in 1999, she said, hey, I have my own in-house storyteller, Jiva Raghunath. So I get invited. But lots of questions in the minds of Singaporeans. Can she speak English? Can she manage this? But then I went there. I go there and, first time flying overseas, not used to it. I didn't even know how to wear my belt inside the flight and all of that. That's another story. That's for another day. That's a long story. I land there and, I don't know what to do. And, I'm going there. And then I find somebody holding a placard with my name and saying India. Oh my goodness. Each time I say that, I get goosebumps. The feel you get, India. Mm-hmm. There's somebody to invite you. Wow. Great feel. And she's like, full-term pregnant woman who comes in, Malar. I remember her name, Malar. She says, we go into her car and then we drive past and she's giving me her schedule. I want to look around Singapore. Come on, it's the first time I'm coming. She wouldn't let me. She said, no, listen to this. I said, okay. No, I went a little early because, I thought, let me go a little early. And of course, I couldn't afford to stay in hotels because they had put us in 5-star hotels. So I didn't have that kind of money. And I said, can you get me a small, a little space where I can stay? But they're very nice. The Hindu Endowment Board gave me a place to stay in the Shiva temple in Geylang in Singapore. So I was given the bride's room when I went there. So that was there. So I went there. And then, I was going to be shifting after a few days, I was supposed to be shifting. And then the evening of the inauguration, Malar comes and picks me up and I'm going to this huge, that's a new library they're opening. And you're there, and you're supposed to be traditionally dressed. And I was going to do a Bengali story. So I borrowed some jewelry and a Bengal sari from my friend. And I had very long hair that time. So I put a little bun and I had to know how to put jasmine, all of that, the big bindi. And Typically trying to look very Bengali kind of a thing. I wore the kind of sari. You ask me now, I wouldn't know. I learned it then and I just wore it and I was all ready. And, it was a small little platform. It was not a big stage platform. And, there were storytellers from many countries who had to come on stage and speak. And then it's going to be my turn. And of course, I'm not used to these headsets and all those things. We are used to these typical microphones with these long threads, not even cordless. 23 years ago, it was like 21 years ago. I was used to that. They came and put something here and all that, and they gave me a little box and they said, put it inside, clip it on. Oh, I said, okay. And I kind of clipped it. And then I get onto they said, Shiva Raghunath from India. So I get onto the stage and I say, Vanakkam, dum. That little box, the battery box falls on the wooden floor. It's a very special gathering. It's about 200 people with Mrs. Nathan, the then president's wife, as a chief guest. And 200 of them go. That was it. I was totally parched. I was dry. No voice. And that Chinese sound person came. He said, Voila, you don't know what to put there. He said, I said, no. And he put it inside my dress. Sorry to say, it went and landed, where. He said, never mind. It's safe inside, I said. Then I started. I said, hun, hunna, hun, hunna, hun, hunna. I started singing, and oh Lord of them. And as soon as I did the story of His Don't Bite, which was published by Tulika, written by Vayu Naidu, and also co-produced by Kara Details. And so I sang the song and I did that story. And then I finished at a standing ovation.
Wow.
Tears started rolling, but then, I just controlled. Then I went back, changed my dress, wore a salwar kameez and stood, and the rest of things were happening. And there was a high tea, and then there was two stiff uniformed men who came to me and said, excuse me, madam, Mrs. Nathan would like to meet you. I said, what? He said, yes. So I was like, ooh, shaking, and I went there. She said, you know something? I don't like snakes, but I like your snake. It's very good, she said. To this day, she's a good friend of mine. And, always she supports me. Wherever I do stories, she comes, and she had the good heart, because I lived in Singapore for a couple of years and I was moving back to India. And she said, she called the other storytellers, why are you letting the icon of Singapore go? Like for somebody like her to say that was great. So that was my first venture to the overseas. But what happened was, I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know that you could do stories in different ways. This is how I had heard my family tell me stories. This is how it was for me. Storytelling was being animated, dancing, singing, jumping around. That was me. But this was very unique for everybody. Nobody had ever seen anything like this with such high energy, singing and dancing and telling. It is a combination of traditional and contemporary storytelling, which I didn't know it was. Right. To be very frank with you, I just said it. That's how I always tell stories. I like to be very expressive, and Indians are very expressive, and we are animated anyway. So I was like, ooh, and all those things. And this fascinated people who came for the festival. That's how I got invited overseas. Wow. To be very frank with you, I have never, ever applied for anything. It's all been word of mouth who have invited me. But nothing to be proud of. But the thing is, I hardly work in India. It's very sad. Mm-hmm. Many people outside India know me more than people in India. Right. Nothing to be happy. But I guess, it's a time when opportunity comes and you can't say no. And of course, economics. So you need to, not that you earn a lot when you go overseas, but the experience is huge. Right. The different cultures teach you so many things. Watching others teach you so many things. Like Dan Falat, Margaret Reed MacDonald, Kathy, they're all people who have been very generous in giving me things. Diane Falat, she's one of the top, US's top storytellers. She says that she's my mentor. I am scared to say because I have to live up to her, name, but then she would say. So that kind of a thing. So you learn a lot. But one thing I learned is discipline from everybody. If it is 5-minute story, it will be on dot 5 minute stop. They would never eat into anybody's time. So I thought that was something that impressed me a lot.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And I learned the lesson that if you can't impress anybody in 2 minutes, you can't impress anybody in 2 hours. 2 minutes is enough to just, get people hooked onto you. And I strongly believe in that. And that's it. So That's how my journey started and all these things. Of course, when you ask about whether children have it, many of the festivals I've attended do have a small, segment where children do tell stories. They do tell stories. Either it is through the, through the libraries, or sometimes it is, dear students, the storyteller students who put up a little show. Right. It is there. But I somehow is not very much for competition, because how can you say somebody's storytelling is wrong? Because there's no wrong or right way of telling a story.
Correct.
Right. So I somehow feel I can't judge somebody telling a story. That's somehow I feel that. I when they invite me to be judge, I'll humbly say, please, I'm a poor judge, so don't invite me to be a judge, and I'll be. So that's it. Did I answer all the 3 questions?
Yes, you did. And fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah.
The next question that comes in, we have a question from the audience, which I will be asking after another 2 questions that I have to ask you. This question is, you have been dwelling on folk tales. Your forte has been folk tales. So, and you have been representing the country at many festivals now. So what, according to you, are the unique nuances of Indian storytelling? So if we were to, take the Indian storytelling out, would you say that there are a few nuances that really herald the Indian storytelling scene?
We are by nature musical. We are by nature animated. So just do that. Be yourself.
So, aren't the African storytellers also musical?
Very much.
So how do we bring that in there?
They are different. Like, for instance, whenever I have a solo concert, I always start with it's actually the traditional song of the Kattiyankaran in Terukuthu. Only thing, he goes faster, but I can do it slowly. So I just take those things. There are lots of things around us. And the reason why I do folk is nobody claims for, ownership. Right. And I can change however I want. I can put in contemporary elements. It's easy for me to think. And I'm afraid to do mythology because I can't remember names. Right. I don't want to say Vali instead of Sugrivan and get into trouble. So I don't do mythology and legends. So I stick to folktale because I can have fun with that, Once he'll be Ram, next time it will be Mohan, it will be whatever name I want. And, it's very, very fluid and flexible. So I kind of work with it. And another thing is, they like the Indian flavor. They don't want you to be stylish. See, we are not native English speakers. So we don't have to, don't have to have an accent. You don't have to pretend. This is how my English is. It's all right. If I sound kata, never mind. That is why I am. Because my mother tongue is Tamil. So I might even be doing a transliteration. Right. Because I think in Tamil and I translate in English. It may not be the perfect English either. Right. But that doesn't matter. Don't forget about all those things. But give those little touches of, because it's very typical. Only in our culture we have, all these things only we have, which is not there. Because when you go to different cultures, if you shake your head, they'll keep asking me, are you saying yes or no? Because each culture has it differently. So you got to give a little bit of it. Yes. And you have to say that, make it very prominent and say that this is how we do it.
Right.
Even calling is like this way or that way. It is, we don't say it, they say like this. So various cultures have different things. So you just have to quickly check if there are anything that has a bad meaning or the wrong sense.
Right.
You have to check on those little things more than nuances. You must be careful. You must be careful on using certain terms. For instance, when I went to the US, when I was doing a tour of Seattle, Margaret told me, you use my God too much. Oh my God, too much. I said, for us, it's Ayo Kadavale is so common for us. We'll say, Ayo Muruga, Kadavale. So it's a very common thing. So I just replaced it, oh my God. He says, no, Americans don't like you using it. Okay. It's a very sacred word. You cannot use. So she said, you know what? You use my God 17 times during a performance, she said. So then I got very conscious. But what happens is that when you're conscious, it becomes blocks in your head.
Correct.
So when you're storytelling, you're conscious of, I shouldn't say, oh my God. I shouldn't say, oh my God. So it's difficult. Now, over time, of course, I waned it. But then, so certain things like that, you must be very careful or what
Right.
you say. No, go to Muslim countries, don't talk about pigs and dogs and things like that.
Right.
So those little things you should remember. But be Indian in yourself, the way you talk, the way you think. Be musical. They love musical. Even wherever I go, I teach a Tamil song. Any country I go,
Right.
I make them sing with me and all that. That's what they remember. The end of it comes and say taka taka, taka taka. So they use a lot of those rhythms and stuff like that. That's what they like. So I think the flavor is what they like. See, they have heard their own country people tell Indian stories, but they have not listened to an Indian doing Indian stories. The reason why I'm popular, an Indian being popular overseas is because I'm exclusive there. I'm a foreigner there. As much as we like whites here, they like the dark skin there. They like me, so I'm exclusive for them. Like, like I'm least considered beautiful here, but there I'm most beautiful.
Right.
So see, everything is so different. The way they look at things are different. The way we move is different. The way we laugh is different. Everything is so different for them, and they're fascinated. Because the first time they're seeing somebody like this perform. Oh, is that how you do? I teach, like, when I do a Kerala story, I just say, I do a little boat song. So all of them start singing with me. Well, funny. That doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. 2 years back, when I went to Romania and I was teaching the kids, I taught them dose amma dose. These are all like 6 years to 8 years kids. And it was so beautiful. Appa, uku, onne, appa, uku, unende, appa, uku. It's so beautiful. They got it. They sang with me. Because they like the taste. They like the things. Because it's a foreign language. They like, and it's difficult for them, when I give them, they just can't do it. The tongue twisters.
Right.
So play around. So I give a lot of flavor. So I think the flavor of the Indian flavor should be there in your stories.
Right.
That I would say is a very, very important when you do stories. Don't try to be stylish. Don't try to be stylish. Be yourself. Be Indian.
Right.
That's something. Yeah.
I guess this is wonderful because this also connects with the thought process when people write scripts for movies or when people write stories. As long as you can maintain the nativity of that story, from where that story is evolving, if you can maintain the nativity, I guess it connects with people very beautifully. And for us as Indians to be proud about who we are, what we are, our culture, our tradition, and taking it globally, hats off to you, man, for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
One last question from me before we move on to one audience question that's come in. What do you see as the future of Indian storytelling and the Indian storytellers from your perspective? Because the storytelling scene is today changing in a big way. Because you have professional courses that have come in for storytelling. There are storytellers, and storytelling has taken many dimensions today. Today, you have storytelling for children, you have storytelling for corporates, you have storytelling by NGOs to address certain issues. Storytelling by itself has got alamaram mari branches vandiruchu. So many branches. So what, according to you, out of your experience, you would have seen the evolution of the Indian story scene?
Yeah, it's basically the revival. What Gita and me started more or less around the same time.
Okay.
I think the same year we started, I think. Very good friends, and we share a lot of things in common. But people understood the importance of storytelling. But, always what happens is, and I'm not blaming the Indians, we always like imported stuff. So when storytelling went from Asia to the West, we took it from them.
Right, okay.
That's what it is. It came from them. It's actually from here. It was in Asia. Storytelling started in Asia, particularly in China. So it started here. We have a huge culture of storytelling. Grew up with storytelling. For us, it's not only bedtime, it's also mealtime storytelling for us. Whereas in the West, it's only bedtime storytelling. Here, it's more of mealtime. I've only listened to stories during mealtime, not during my sleeping time. I would sleep because I've already had my fill of stories. So I would go to sleep. So the thing is, once they've realized, they've branched out, they've blossomed beautifully, they're doing a great job. But one thing they have to keep in mind is not to dilute the art form. Yeah, like anybody and everybody claims to be a storyteller. It wasn't easy. I started with 25 rupees. Now I moved up to 25,000 rupees. So it's a long journey. So they're all half baked. I'm saying, take your time. Take about 3-4 years. Work hard. Make yourself known. Keep telling. then you can go. Wouldn't they come for one workshop, one half-day workshop, 1 day workshop, and then they call themselves storyteller. Worse still is they call themselves master storyteller. I would never dare to call myself a master storyteller because I am not. I have so much more to learn. Okay, that's their way of advertising themselves. I have nothing against it. If people want to call themselves whatever, I don't mind. But I'm saying that keep that. And I also tell storytellers, budding storytellers, don't do it for others. Do it for your own self.
Right.
The moment you do for others, what happens is like only that is there in your head. And one thing we should remember is you give what they need, not what you want.
Right.
There's a difference between need and want. I might want to be a millionaire, but the need is to make money for a 1 square meal. So there's difference between that. So which means you have to have a repertoire of stories. Only then you can give what they need. You come to a thing, they would have told you there's only 6 years, at least 6-year-olds are going to come. You go there. No, 6 years didn't. There were no takers, so we took 8-year-olds. You can't do a 6-year-old story to an 8-year-old. So quickly you must be able to change it.
Right.
If you have a repertoire of stories, pull it from your bag and throw it. Don't insist on, no, I rehearse only that story. These things you learn through experience.
Right.
But brilliant. The future of Indian storytelling is huge now. And I mean, like we started under the Alamaram, but now everybody, and especially after the pandemic, everybody is going online international storytelling festival. And we're thinking we should really go back and do it. But of course, I'm happy that I've brought more than 45 foreign storytellers have been featured in my festival, which is a huge effort. Because I thought that not everybody can go to each of the country to listen to them, but they can, if they all come here, they can listen to them and find out the various methods in which each one tells. And at one point, you would say that, okay, my style is very much like hers. So maybe I should learn. There are lots of things. You identify yourself with the kind of teller, and that helps you to grow further.
Right.
And wait for criticism. No, welcome criticism.
Correct.
Wait for criticism. And people always call me a children's storyteller. I don't feel bad about it. Oh, she tells only to children. It's okay, never mind. Because they're the most difficult audience are children.
Exactly.
Because they would walk up to you and say, Auntie, boring story, Auntie, not nice. Be very frank. What happened today, Auntie? Bad mood, You're not doing well today? What happened? Don't ask me. So you have the time to sit back and relax and say, what do I do? What did I do? So it's very important that we evaluate what we have done after each show. Of course, people are nice. They come and say, it's very nice. But that's not there. The moment they say very nice, it means you have set the bar high, which means you can't even come 1 degree down, right? You got to be very careful. So these are some of the things you have to keep in mind, is what I would say. But it's very healthy and it's huge. And I'm more or less on a retirement mode now. So it's more of mentoring and advising people who are interested in getting some advice. I just keep doing it.
Lovely. I only pray and hope that many young storytellers get to meet you, get to talk to you, and take a lot of knowledge transfer from you, because I have personally seen you performing, and the impact has been phenomenal. And very rightly said, under the Alamaram, when we visited that storytelling festival, there were 6 or 7 storytellers from overseas. Each one was unique. Each one had a different way of storytelling. I was amazed. It was a great learning experience. So fabulous day. We have a question from one of our audience here, Shreyanshi Anand's mother. I get Shreyanshi Anand herself has asked this question. Shreyanshi Anand is a student at Alchemy. She asks, what are your thoughts on storytelling, which is audio versus visual stories, animated videos, which is preferable for kids and why?
Definitely live shows. No doubt about it.
I was expecting that answer.
No doubt. I need the energy. The live energy is what it is. So not that media is wrong, because you can't say that media is wrong, because we are in a tech world, in a tech era. You can't say, no, I don't like, you don't want to do, don't do. But you can't despise those who are doing it. They're doing brilliantly well. So nothing wrong in doing it. But I somehow feel storytelling is a bonding tool. And it's not from head to head, it's from heart to heart. All right? To me, storytelling is from womb to tomb. Before you're born, you start tell stories. After you're dead, also you say, what happened today? Oh, if you were there, you would say what happened. So I keep telling stories to dead. I keep telling to even before the child is born, I keep telling stories. So come out of the world, you'll know what it is. You're safe inside, blah, blah, blah. So I'm telling stories. And to me, it is like the umbilical cord, the storytelling, live storytelling. If you look at media, it's only a cable cord. That is it. Both are cords, but one is an umbilical cord, one is the cable cord. Umbilical cord nurtures you. Cable cord does not nurture you. It nurtures you in a different way. You won't get the same feel. The same nourishment that the mother has, the mother passes on. But the cable does not pass that, right? And where does imagination happen when you see online? When you're seeing live, the visuals that come into your heads. And I don't know. I just love people. So,
Right. So
yeah.
Thank you so much. That
My
was
pleasure.
a wonderful interaction with one of Chennai's most famous storytellers and one of my favorite storytellers,
Oh,
Jiva
thank you.
Raghunath man. Fabulous. The story of a storyteller, the journey of a storyteller. I am privileged to have been asking these questions to you. There's a lot of learning from these questions and the answers that came out of you. Though they were put in very simple terms, they were put in very simple words, they were phrased with simplicity. A lot of experience, knowledge, and learning were packed in this discussion.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am. And ladies and gentlemen, and my dear audience, Tejaswini, I will do the honors of announcing this. I'm sure it's your line, but I'm taking that line away from you now. I'm all excited being on the show with Jiva ma'am. So, ladies and gentlemen, the wait is over. Here we have Jiva Raghunath in action. So, your storytelling time, ma'am, and I will remove myself of the spotlight. I will move out of the way, and the audience is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, of course, I would have loved to be in person, but never mind. We have to be happy with whatever we have. And the story I'm going to share is the silly story of Bondapalli, written by Shamim Padamsi for Tulika Publishers. She wrote it in English and I translated it in Tamil. Of course, now when I'm telling it, I've made little changes and all that, and Shamim ji won't mind that. And I remember for the book launch, I ordered for little bondas, and my mouth was full of bondas. And when I read out the story, it was fun. So I just thought it's a fun story. I just thought I'll share it with you, kind of from page to stage. So what was there in the book is now you're going to see me in action doing this. In a kingdom lived a king, a queen, and a prince. Oh, what's so new about it? Every kingdom had a king and a queen and a prince. Is what you're thinking? Right, so. This prince, he was such a fussy eater. Every time he would say, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, I don't like that. Forever, he was whining and whining and whining. Now the queen was fed up. She said, what do I do with this son of mine? So one day, she stormed into the royal kitchen and she said, Chef, come here at once. And the royal chef came all shaking and said, yes, your majesty. How can I help you, your majesty? He asked. And the queen said, listen carefully. Tomorrow morning for breakfast, I want you to make the most delicious breakfast. Got it? If the prince does not like it, he be gone, she said, and zoomed out of the royal kitchen. Now, the chef was shaking. He said, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I've tried everything possible. Let me start working. And he started cutting. And he started grinding. He tried his hand, he chopped and he ground and he, steamed and he boiled and he fried and he did all that he could, but nothing tasted good. He said, what do I do? He felt very sad. But then he had to continue. It went on. Oh, it was past midnight. There was a big wok, a kadai, with boiling oil, and he sat right in front of it. And with him was a big dish of lentil batter. He scooped it, fell asleep. Of course, he was tired. He's been working so hard. How long can he keep his eyes open? And he fell asleep. And early in the morning, went the rooster. The dog was startled. He went, wow, wow, and he jumped on the cat. And the frightened cat went, meow, meow, and fell on the sleeping cook. And the chef was frightened. He went, ay, 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 and he flipped the spoon. And the batter went flying up and came flying down and fell plop into the wok of hot oil. He looked inside, and there the ball of batter was dancing at the bottom of the wok. Takita, 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 tantana. Takita, 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 tillana. Takita, 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 tandana. Takita, 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 tillana. From the bottom, the ball was dancing and dancing and dancing and came right on top, golden brown in color. Ah, the aroma wafted through the air, through the chef's nose. Gama, 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 gama. Oh, he picked it up in his ladle. It was hot. He took the golden ball. Smelled so good. And there he took a bite. Oh, fantastic. Crispy on the outside and soft in the inside. Oh, what a delicious snack this is. Fit for the prince. But I hope he likes it. He started frying them. It is breakfast time. Da-da-da-da-di, da-da-da-da-di, da-da-da-di, da-da-da-da-da-da. The king, the queen, and the prince came to the royal dining table. They sat down. Oh, delicious food was laid. The king looked, and the queen, the prince, and in a silver bowl, the golden balls were arranged in a pyramid. Shaking, the royal chef brought the dish, placed it on the table, and went and hid behind the door, holding his neck for fear that his head might be consumed. The king looked at it. The queen. And the prince. Oh, what nonsense is this? Let me try it. Smells good, but I don't know how it tastes. Oy, 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 oy. And one after the other, after the other, after the other, his mouth was full, and he went, wonderful, 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 said the prince. At once the king said, hey, hey, he says it's wonderful. I'm happy my son loves it. And the queen said, oh, stop it. He never said wonderful. He said bondaful. This is bonda. Right, chef? She called out. the shaking chef came and said, Your Majesty, yeah, it's a bonda, right? Bonda, bonda. Oh, that was it. Oh, bonda became the talk of the town. Everybody ate nothing but bondas. Everywhere it was only bonda. Bonda, 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 crispy bonda, yummy bonda, soft, soft bonda, ah, ah, ah. Crispy bonda, soft, soft bonda, yummy bonda, ah, ah, ah. Adorable, adorable bonda. Put a piece into your mouth, it melts like alua. Bonda, 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 bonda. Wow! Everybody sold only bondas. Kara bonda, sweet bonda, potato bonda, masala bonda, bondas of all kinds. They ate and ate and ate and did nothing but just ate and became fatter and fatter and fatter. And everybody became like bondas. Now the chairs had to be shaped. The beds had to be shaped. Their doorways had to be shaped. Everything became like bondas. Now at the same time, the neighboring king was very weak. All his people were thin and sick and dull. When he saw the healthy neighborhood, he said, how come they are all so healthy and we are so weak? Let's wage war to find out the secret, he said. And soon there was war declared. The prince said, I will take care of the war, father. Don't you worry. And all the soldiers, now so fat, overly fat, had to huff and puff and walk up to the castle on top of the fort. They stood by their cannons. The prince said, all right. Minister, follow my instructions. Got it? And the minister said, yes, Your Majesty, he said. And just when he turned, the royal chef brought a plate full of bondas. He dashed against the bonda and he went rolling down the stairs of the castle. He went rolling. Now the minister thought that was the instruction from the prince, and he ordered all the soldiers, roll on, everybody. And that was it. Everybody, every single warrior started rolling. Now when they reached down and were rolling, those that were down, they also started rolling. Now the enemies were coming on their weak, skinny, wimpy horses with their very broken, blunt, and rusted weapons. They were galloping, and far away, they saw something that was unbelievable. The dust was growing and something huge, like a huge ball, was coming towards them. They were frightened. They said, what is that? What on earth is that? Looks like a new weapon. It's not a cannonball, it's something else. What is it? They were rolling faster and faster. The horses were neighing. They were so afraid. And before they could realize what was happening, the enemies were all down, which on top of each of them was one fat bonda warrior. The chief held out the white flag and said, peace, peace, peace. And soon peace was declared. And the prince said, oh, let's celebrate. Let's have a bonda party, he said. And that was it. They invited all the enemies and everybody in the kingdom enjoyed eating bondas. Now the king came forward and said, well, we won this war because of bonda. So from now on, I shall name our kingdom as Bonda Palli. Come on, everybody. Bonda Palli, long live Bonda Palli. Long live the king, long live the queen, long live our prince, Bonda Palli. Bonda, 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 bonda. Crispy bonda, soft, soft bonda, yummy bonda, ah, ah, ah. Crispy bonda, soft, soft bonda, yummy bonda, ah, ah, ah. Adorable, adorable bonda. Put a piece into your mouth, it melts like alua. Bonda, 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 bonda. The Silly Story of Bonda Palli by Shamin Padamsee, published by Tulika Publishers, retold by me, Jiva Raghunath. Nandri Vanakkam. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Oh
Thank
my
you.
God. That
you.
was an explosive 10 to 15 minutes that we had now. If I were to talk in camera terms, you know, a movie term, you had a close-up shot which was so tight, you know, and you just held that and you took us through the Bonda Nagaram so quickly. Bonda Palli. And what variations, I'm sure the audience who are watching it with us have had a great storytelling time by none other than Jiva Raghunath. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Over to you, MC.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
I couldn't move.
That was just terrific, ma'am. I'm literally in love with the story right now. Bonda Palli is going to be one of my favorite stories. And thank you so much for such a wonderful session, ma'am. I personally really loved it. And now I call upon Abhinav Krishna Balaji, a student of Alchemy Youth Theatre, for the vote of thanks for today's evening.
Thank you, Teju. Greetings, everyone. My name is Abhinav Krishna Balaji, and it gives me immense pleasure for giving the vote of thanks for this inauguration of the Read On Children's Literature Festival Season 2. First, I would like to thank all the parents who have sent videos of them lighting the lamp to give an auspicious start for the inauguration. Following that, we had a wonderful performance from Swati ma'am, who sang the invocation song. Thank you, ma'am, for the performance. Next, I would like to thank Bhavna Badri for giving a lovely introduction to our chief guest. I would also like to thank Tejaswini Vijay for being the anchor for this evening. Next, I would like to thank the chief guest herself, Miss Jiva Raghunath, for her presence and her wonderful story narration. We enjoyed it very much, ma'am, and thank you so much for being here today. And finally, I would like to thank all the students, parents, and the Alchemy team for giving immense support throughout all these years for us. Thank you. Now, let's have a wonderful second season of the Read On Children's Literature Festival. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, Alchemy Kids Theatre, on every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. sharp to witness some amazing performances. Thank you all for being here. Have a great day. Take care. And once again, Happy Independence Day. Now, please rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य विन्ध्य हिमाचल यमुना गङ्गा उच्चल जलधितरङ्गा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you so much, Abhinav. This is just the starting, more weeks to go with exciting performances by our students. I know a lot of them are all geared up. So do log in next week, Sunday at 6:30 p.m. for our week 1 performances. Till then, take care, Tata, signing off, Tejaswini.